Hey everyone, welcome to our program. Welcome to Dine Around Downtown Cooking at Home edition. This is our fourth season, and we are very excited for all of you to be joining us today as we kick off another 3-episode series. My name is Ron Dijon, and I am with the Downtown Alliance. I'm going to share that with you right there. And for those of you who don't know, I'm the event manager for the Downtown Alliance, and what we do is we are the business improvement district for Lower Manhattan, and we strive at keeping downtown a cleaner, safer, and more vibrant place to live, work, and visit. And one of the ways we do this is by providing support to local businesses, especially during these unprecedented times. Dine Around Downtown Cooking at Home edition is part of our continuing effort to provide such support, in this case, to local restaurants and food security charities that have been impacted by COVID-19. Today, our restaurant has chosen Food Corps as the food security charity chosen by Harry's. No matter how big or small, every contribution is greatly appreciated. So please check out foodcorps.org and donate what you can. For your convenience, I'm also going to share the direct link to you to their donate link in the chat box. So you should have that there. So please donate what you can. Okay, just a couple of housekeeping things before we actually begin. We want to let you know that this cooking demo is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent out to everyone via email, everyone who signed up for this episode. So during this demo, if you have any questions for our guest chef or for our host, on the bottom of the screen, you should see the Q&A feature. There you can go ahead and click on that and type in any question you have for them. If you're using a mobile device, such as an iPhone, iPad, or tablet, you can just tap your screen once. It should either appear at the bottom. If not, then it's going to be probably on the top right corner. The chat box, as I've been using, is going to be where we reserve to share with you guys information to helpful links and any details or anything we talk about throughout this program that might be helpful for you guys to just go ahead and click and follow along, okay? And one of those things that we have going on is our Post Your Plate contest, which I will share with you right now. And our Post Your Plate contest is really special. If you are cooking along at home, either today or perhaps maybe tomorrow or over the weekend, you can enter to win a 30-minute private virtual cooking class with tonight's guest chef by simply posting your plate on Instagram and using the hashtag DineAroundAtHome, tagging @DowntownNYC, and go ahead and tag the chef and the restaurant as well. And you can check out that link in the chat box for more details. And don't forget to post your pictures because we'd love to see them. And good luck. Okay, so let's get ready. I'm gonna go ahead and get this here. Okay, it's time to get cooking. So it's always my pleasure to introduce your host for the evening. Please welcome award-winning chef, author, and judge on the latest season of Guy Fieri's Tournament of Champions on the Food Network, Rocco DiSpirito. Hey, Rocco.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Ron. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be with you for Dine Around Downtown Cooking at Home edition. This is our 4th season, which means it's been a long pandemic. And it looks like we're getting to the end of it. I hope you're all getting your vaccines. And thank you so much for joining us again. I've been hearing from a lot of you on social media. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for your kind words, your words of encouragement, your questions, and I hope we get to them all today. As you know, the Downtown Alliance works very, very hard to improve the quality of life overall for all of the residents of its business improvement district. And it's a public-private partnership, as Ron said. And I've come to know the people who work for the Downtown Alliance pretty well in the past year, and they are working really hard for you guys. They're working really hard for all of us. There's a lot of resources that they're providing us with. If you follow them on social or go to their website and sign up for their email newsletter, you'll see that they will send you a lot of very useful information. It's not just fluff, it's substantive. It's substantive and Very, very useful. So thanks for being a supporter, and hopefully you enjoy our demo today. Our guest chef today is the executive chef of Harry's and of the entire HRP group. He's a native of Long Island. He comes from Queens originally, just like I do. And like myself, he reminds me a little bit of myself. And I'm sorry if you don't like the comparison, chef, but we're both lifer chefs who were born and raised in Queens and started at a very young age. He started at 15, working at J.G. Mellon. He went to the French Culinary Institute. He worked at Oceana and Park Avenue Cafe with at David Burke. He partnered with Sam DeMarco to open First on First. If you remember First on First with its tiny teenies, raise your hand. I want to hear from you because that was a great moment in time for New York dining. And in 2006, he joined Harry's Cafe and Steak, and his name is Joseph Mallol. Joseph, are you there? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Rocco, how you doing today?
What's up, buddy? How are you? Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So you have what I has to be one of the biggest jobs, one of the biggest culinary jobs in New York City. Tell us how many restaurants you oversee and how many menus you get to play with and how many cooks you supervise.
Listen, thank you very much for that. Well, obviously Harry's is the mothership, is the home base that I actually really worked at and started at. We have Le District, which is over on Battery Park in Brookfield.
Small little operation.
Yeah, 20,000 square feet.
20,000 square feet, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, small. So we have Liberty Bistro there. We have the market inside. I control all the culinary aspects of that. And then we have Dead Rabbit, which is a beautiful Irish pub.
Popular place, yeah.
Which is on Water Street, right down by the water. By
Joe, what's the secret to getting in?
You got to call me,
okay.
We got we got a month out. You know?
We have a month till opening, a month till we have to beg to get in.
A month. No, we got reservations right now. We were packed on St. Patty's Day.
Wow. Okay.
So,
if there's a code word, blink twice and say it, and we'll pretend we didn't hear it.
Definitely. It's that we have Ulysses, which is above Harry's, which is another Irish pub. So a lot of stuff that I do for this company is diverse. You know, we do a little bit of Irish food, we do some French, which was my schooling and background. I'm sort of, passionate about that. But then the American side with Harry's Cafe, Harry's with the steak and just simple cuisine, really, really high quality ingredients is what we do at Harry's. And, I love all of it, actually. And like you said, I'm a lifer just like yourself.
Chef is being very modest. He runs what's essentially one of the largest restaurant empires you never heard about in New York City. It goes back to Harry, who worked at Delmonico's. Is that right?
Yes.
Correct me
Before
if I'm wrong.
72
and then
when we opened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he actually opened up with his wife, Adrian, in 72. And the dish that we're going to make now is sort of his signature dish that, since day one, every Wednesday, everyone would come down. And I talked to him a couple of days ago. We're going to make, I have the beef right here. He would make full size. He would make 30 of these every Wednesday. So we're talking about, between you and me, that's probably about 150 to 200 portions of Wellington, which is a testament to his own.
I haven't mentioned it yet, but we're making a classic beef Wellington today.
Oh, sorry.
Which right? Is that what we're making, Chef?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Absolutely. That's, and we serve it every Wednesday at Harry's. So please, everyone come down and at lunch and dinner, I have it all the time.
And that slide that was up while we were waiting was not just something we downloaded from the internet. That's the actual Harry's dining room, that beautiful restaurant that you saw while Ron was talking. That incredibly gorgeous space is Harry's. Yeah. So I encourage you all to, of course, watch the demo and go to Harry's immediately.
Yes, please do. And we just updated, we just did a little small reno of the place a couple of years ago. So the place is nice and clean and beautiful and waiting for customers to come in.
Amazing. Is this your favorite dish to make? Is that why you picked it, or it's your signature?
You know what? A lot of people ask me about it, and they're always like, "Well, chef, how do you really make it?" And I've written this recipe over and over and over again. Yeah. And this is the first opportunity for me to really showcase how to make it. We're going to make it so we can make it at home. Obviously there's a little more technique at work, where we're going to maybe do a lattice print over the whole puff pastry and all that. But here we can do this. It's not that hard. It's not a daunting task.
It's not as hard as it looks. And I think thanks to Gordon Ramsay, everybody knows what beef Wellington is now.
Oh yeah, no,
He's
he's put it on
posted
the
about
map.
it 1,000 times. So
Yes,
I
yes.
guess let's get to it. I want to mention that today we are endorsing Food Corps, which is the charity that Harry's picked to support. So if you're inclined to donate, please look at the link in the chat box for Food Corps. Chef, I'll let you talk about it at your comfort and start your demo at your comfort. I can't wait to see how you guys do this. Food Corps is, oh yeah, okay, I can see you now. Great.
Okay, great.
Cool.
And then Food
We
Court
lost you for a second.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's moving in and out here. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Somebody's playing video games.
Yeah, no one's home.
Okay, good.
So listen, let's start.
Yeah, let's start.
Yeah, I have a piece of a beautiful filet mignon here. You can go to your butcher. I think it's probably the best bet you can get. It's about a 3 pound piece. It's choice meat. You can let them tie it for you, which I suggest, but we'll do a little demo right now and I'll show you how to tie it. It's not that hard. It's like tying a sneaker. You know, you tie one end on the side and make a knot. There you go. And then you do the twist here, which is sort of this old, cook thing that we all do as chefs. But if you're uncomfortable with that scenario, you can actually just cut pieces of string and do 4 nice little spaces in between. So it just holds its shape. That's all we're doing, Rocco. We're really trying to keep it so it stays nice and round and the shape stays circular. So when we do the Wellington, it actually looks like a nice piece of meat. And when we sear it, it holds its shape also.
You must be reading my mind because Wendy just asked, why tie the meat?
Right. And we want to stay,
keep its shape.
Right. Yeah. We want to hold its shape. That's all. We don't have to get too complicated either. It doesn't have to be, really super tight, because once you start to sear it, you'll see the meat starts to tense up a little bit. It'll get ready. So now we have a great piece of meat. We got to season it, obviously. Now the seasoning thing with everyone, please, this is a little secret that Rocco and I would probably know, is season as you go. Do not try to season at the end of the meal and dump a ton of salt in your sauce, your salad, salt the steak. We're going to salt here. We're going to salt the sauce. We're going to salt a little bit of the carrots, a little bit of these salt, a little bit of seasoning as we go will make the dish taste fantastic. And it'll taste just like you went to the restaurant and had it. So we got seasoned, all ready to go. I'm going to come over to the stove here. I got a hot pan. We're going to sit there and start to sear it off, and then we'll go into our mushroom duxelle.
And we're talking about a very hot pan. I would use high heat. I would use either cast iron or stainless steel.
Right, exactly. I got a stainless steel pot here. We're going to get it up cranking. We'll sit there and get it hot. And this pot we're actually going to use for the sauce. So we're going to actually sear it pretty rare. We don't want to cook it, basically. We're just getting a little caramelization on the outside. And then we'll take the meat out. We'll brush it with some mustard. And then we'll put it in the fridge so it cools down. So when we wrap it in the pastry, it's a cold piece of meat wrapped in the pastry, because we don't want to use it when it's warm. The pastry will get really too pliable and you won't be able to mold it and have it look nice the way you would like.
Chef, I have a question about other types of meat. Would you use other types of meat? I've seen people make Wellington out of carrots. So I imagine there's a lot of leeway there.
Oh yeah, carrots. I've actually done scallops. Scallops are great. Little tiny scallops. I put a little bit of the mushroom on top and wrap them like a little present. So I've done that. You could do pork. I've seen. I mean, there's so many different things that you actually could do. The carrot thing, I don't know. I like carrots, but I don't know if it's something I would go for. So okay, we got the mushroom duxelle, which is a part of the. If we all have the recipe, we'll all get it at the end of the video here. Mushroom duxelle is something I learned in school it was like probably the 3rd recipe I learned in French Culinary Institute. Basically, a mushroom duxelle is just some mushrooms, some shallots, a little garlic, a little thyme, chopped up really, really fine. I'm going to use my Cuisinart here, or KitchenAid. And then we're going to put it in the pot, and then we're going to deglaze it with a little bit of wine. Deglazing is basically when all the liquid is reduced, We put a little wine in there, then we'll reduce that down to till it's perfectly dry. I have a little bit here, but I'm going to show you how to put it together. Once all that's dry, then that'll be cooled down, and that is sort of the outside of the beef that we're going to have, and then we'll wrap the pastry around it. So we're going to get all these components ready, and then you'll see how everything comes together.
Terrific.
So we got a mushroom here. I chop them up a little bit, so it's a little bit easier to get them into the Cuisinart. So the Cuisinart's not working super hard. So then you throw the mushrooms in there. Now with the mushrooms and the duxelle, we have another pot here. We're going to put the temperature on for this too. So now obviously I'm just turning the meat a little bit here, not too.
All right, so the meat is in the pot and you're using
Right.
what looks like a stock pot, which is fine, guys. I know
Yeah,
you're probably
stainless
thinking,
steel.
why is it high? Yeah, it's nice and hot. There's not much else in the pan. There's just the meat, so it should retain the heat.
Exactly. So we have the mushrooms here. We got some shallots here that we're going to chop a little bit. I'll show you how you guys chop that. Very simple. So you go down really close. Cross hatch it a little. Now with the shallots for the mushroom duxelle, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just really cutting it down so it's a little bit smaller. So actually the machine is not going to overwork the product, because you don't want to throw in whole shallots and whole mushrooms. Then you got to sit there and you're going to heat up the mushrooms, you're going to heat up the onion. It's not really what we want to do. We want to actually try to puree this or chop it up as small as possible, as quick as possible. So we'll put all that in. I got a little bit of thyme. So now this is a little trick. So obviously we have thyme here. So now we're going to just pick off the leaves off the thyme here, right? So this is what we're going to need for our duxelle. But those stems, right, Rocco? We're going to save these, because when we make our sauce, what are we going to do? We're going to put them right in there, because that's something that we really would love to have, that essence of thyme, not necessarily using the whole. Let's see our meat here. We're pushing it around a little bit, which is great. So now, Rocco, I'm going to sit here, pulse this a little bit for a second, this mushroom.
Yep. And if you don't have a Cuisinart or a Roboku, you can use a blender, or you can just chop it with a knife. It's
right.
simple.
The knife would be a great thing too. Just go over it well. That's all. And if there's a couple little big pieces, it's okay. I mean, we're going to wrap it up in the puff pastry around the meat. No one's gonna, say, oh, you didn't chop it up well enough. So obviously, see, we have this nice chopped up mushroom, and we're gonna cook this down to a dry, not paste, I would say, but pretty close. But like this, we're gonna put it in our pot here with a little olive oil too, and a little bit of butter. So
now, Chef, I just want to let people know that there are mushroom pastes you can buy. If you don't want to go through this step, there are great mushroom pastes out there. Some of them are flavored with truffle, some are not. They're porcini paste. I've seen white mushroom paste. I've seen truffle paste. Those are all available. Urbani sells them. I've seen them in the nicer grocery stores. And I've seen them in tubes. So if you're thinking mushroom duxelle, not for me, that's one workaround.
Right, exactly. You can actually get the product already made. A while ago, 10, 15 years ago, we don't have that type of stuff around now. But now, I mean, God, they're making everything. I mean, I haven't seen the beef made yet, but I would imagine they're going to have the actual Wellington made.
I think if you go to Lafredo or Baldor, they have, or maybe even Masters, which is the purveyor that you use. Masters is a legendary New York meat purveyor. Has the finest aged meats, aged beef, especially. I think they're starting to sell, ready to bake beef Wellington. It's so popular.
I would imagine they probably do have cuts ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. We actually, as Harry's, we use Masters that you mentioned. Great company. Harry has been been in touch with them, and we've been, they've used Masters since '72, since the very beginning of time. So, obviously they're doing something right. Mark, Scott, their father, God rest his soul, he passed on, but those guys are really, really, there's some fine people out there. So now, okay, we got the beef, we seared it off a little bit. We shut the pot off so we're not burning anything up here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put some mustard on the outside. We got a little brown, right? It's pretty rare, like obviously you can see it. You see the pink on the side, right? So we're gonna douse this with mustard. Now, remember, we gotta take off the actual string. We don't wanna put the string or leave the string on. And now I'm gonna put it in the fridge to get it cool. So when we do wrap it, it's all, like I said, it's all cold and it's easy to wrap. And we don't have that much, we're not compromising the puff pastry as we go.
Chef,
So
a question from Jeannie. Can we use an individual fillet versus a 3-pound tenderloin?
Absolutely. And I'll give you, when we get to the puff pastry part, I will give you a little sort of demo. I'll show that we'll cut a square and I'll show you it's very easy to do one individual piece. At Harry's, we actually do since COVID-19, when we opened up inside, instead of using, because this, I have a gyro dome in the dining room, I would put it out there with slice and table side. In the very beginning, I really was not comfortable doing that. I really don't think anybody else would be. And Pete and Harry, the owners, were in agreement. So we decided to do the individual. And I actually used to work, I don't know if you know this. I actually worked at 1th by Land, 2th by Sea.
Whoa.
And that is where it used to be a really big deal. The Wellington, we used to make a lot of them there.
Yes,
That
I
was a
remember that place very
long
well.
time ago.
Did we meet there by any chance?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm starting to remember a moment where I was looking around there. I was talking to the owner and his business partner, and I'm starting to remember you in that space, an incredible space, supposedly haunted, one of the great spaces in New York.
Yes, it was the Aaron Byron or
Aaron Burr, yeah,
Aaron Burr. There you go.
Yeah.
That was his.
Yeah.
That was his, like, what, his stagecoach or his
Mhm.
his place. I mean, it was like the fine continental, everything with the sauce and the silver boats and all that. That's
sure.
That's old school. So okay, so we got the mushroom duxelle here. So I'll bring it over to the camera. So we have it. It's starting to see all the water starting to release in the mushroom, which is great. Obviously, like I said in the very beginning of the segment here, we got to season as we go. So we're going to put a little salt and pepper in here, and we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep cooking this. The water's going to evaporate. I got my wine. I'm going to throw my wine in, ready to go. So now, since we have that pot and we just seared off our meat, I got some shallots, a little bit of garlic. I got some brandy. We're going to make our sauce for this beautiful dish. And what we're going to do is, obviously, we have the pot here, and these brown little bits of goodness are on the bottom.
Yum.
This is where we're going to, what's up?
Yum, that looks great.
Yes. This is what we're going to deglaze and try to release off the pan to enhance our sauce that we're going to make. So we're going to put on some heat again. Going to throw in our shallots, a little bit of garlic, our beautiful thyme sprig that I have that we came off of those leaves, right? I got some parsley stem, which I'm a fan of. I got 1 bay leaf, which I think is appropriate. I'm going to throw all that in there. Have my little wooden spoon. Start to mix that up. Now we're only going to saute this, really, to start to release some of the flavor profiles of the shallot and the garlic. Release some of that
Chef, that's
liquid
just
from
in
there.
the pan that you cook the beef in, right? No added fat at this point?
No, I think the fat that I initially put in there and whatever little bit of fat that was on the meat itself sort of rendered out, I think that's enough. I don't think we really need to add too much.
Can we have a little peek in the pot so people can see?
Yeah, absolutely.
What you're doing? Yeah, great. This is a step that professional cooks take that most home cooks probably wouldn't do, where you add the herbs to the pot with the shallots, and definitely the difference between a great and a good sauce. Yeah.
Right. And this is just a building block. This is something this is the little secrets that you and I share, pulling this stuff together is the sauce. It's like you have a great stock. We're going to fortify with a little bit more onion and shallots and some herbs. And then we're going to reduce all that down with a little bit of brandy. And then you're going to get this beautiful, beautiful sauce that you would get in any restaurant. So I think we got enough here. in the sense of cooking time. Now I have a little brandy here. Obviously, I'm working on an induction stove. So it burns off the brandy. I'm gonna heat it up. Going strong. I got a little match here just in case. Burn any of that alcohol off.
Oof. Nice.
Sit there. Perfect. Cover it
You
easily.
always
see?
have a cover handy
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
when you're about to flambe.
Awesome. So wait, hang on one second. Let me put my lid back.
Chef, while you're doing that, there's a question about someone from someone who doesn't use alcohol. They'd like to know what they can use instead of wine. They don't use wine in their cooking. I'll start by saying, there are vinegars and juices that you could use. What do you say, Chef?
I would say, yeah, maybe a little truffle juice would be great.
Yeah, very nice.
I think that would be an awesome thing. I mean, there is some vinegars, but that'll give you a little bit of tannins that maybe you don't want to have right there. But I mean, truffle juice would be great. Absolutely not having anything would be fine, because we got all that stuff off the bottom of this, right? So now, Doris, come on over here. Look at this. So now, look at this, everyone. See, there is no, the brown goodness is not there anymore. You know where it is? It's all in that onion. It's all in that sauce. So that's what the brandy, the actual shallots, got everything off the bottom of that pot. We got a little bit of brown sauce that we're going to throw in there. I'm going to heat this up. Okay, so now we're going to look at our mushroom duxelle. Mushroom duxelle is drying out, like I said. So here, Doris. So you see, we got nice mushroom duxelle. It's starting to dry out. We're going to just add a little bit of wine to this. And the same thing goes. Like someone said that, if they don't want to have any alcohol, same thing for the mushroom. Little porcini paste, maybe a little bit of mushroom stock. If you have mushroom stock, they have some great stocks in those cardboard containers. That's what I purchase. I can't always bring everything home from work. So then, okay, so now we have our sauce working. We have our mushroom duxelle that is working right now, because I think that was a key component. But like you said, you can buy, porcini paste and put that together that way. So I have some mushroom duxelle here. It's a little finished product. At Harry's, a little trick that we actually do, something that we've done, and I actually picked this up from, this came from actually one of my land tooth by sea, because a lot of people do put pork on their beef Wellington. They'll take some sort of prosciutto or something like that, and they'll wrap around it.
Right. Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
Right. So I don't do that. I will not put prosciutto around it, but I have some foie gras pate, which has a little pork product, and I put a little bit of this into the mushroom duxelle. So this is something that I do have requests around Christmas. Oh, I don't want foie gras. I just want the mushrooms. I have no problem. I'll do them both ways. So you just incorporate mousse. You bring the mousse up to room temperature, and you just mix it in there so it gets all nice incorporated. It gives a beautiful flavor profile. A lot of people are like, wow, that thing tastes great. What is that little flavor in there? And this is just a little technique that we actually we do at Harry's. It's something that we've done for quite some time. A little salt, a little bit of pepper. Let's check our stuff over here. Our mushroom duxelle is going well. Let me turn this down a little bit. Our sauce is starting to come up. So season. Don't be afraid to taste a little bit of it, so we know that we actually have the right amount. Oh, fantastic. So we have the mushroom duxelle. We seared the beef off. We have that all ready to go into the in the fridge. So now let's bring out the beef. We'll cut the string off, and then I'll bring out the puff pastry and we'll put this thing together.
Fantastic. Claire White asked the question about the pork, and I think the idea was to provide some fat to a very lean meat. If you're not going to do the pork, prosciutto or fatback, then foie gras will certainly do that. Foie gras is very fatty as well, and it'll help the very lean tenderloin taste juicy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And don't forget that the puff pastry too. There's quite a bit of butter in that, in its own right. So there's the fat also. So we have this seared off beautiful. We have mustard on it, looks great. Let me pull out the puff pastry and we'll put this beautiful dish together. Now, puff pastry, between you and me, Rocco, someone's going to ask, can we use?
Yes, of course.
Can we use pie crust now? You could. I don't suggest it, but you could. I'm not going to not say no to it, but at the end of the day, puff pastry, which is a French, sort of a French staple in France, is really the way to go. You can buy it. You go to your frozen section. They, where you buy the pie shells that are already made. There is boxes of it there. I've done this already. I've done little like apple tarts at home and for my kids, because my kids are like, what's an apple tart, Dad? Or apple strudel or whatever. And she's like, oh, I got to go to the store. So I buy it there. And I found it. It's not totally hidden. It's not something.
No,
too
puff pastry is
taboo.
everywhere now. Absolutely everywhere.
Exactly.
You can get it online. Of course, if you're buying things online, then you can find everything online. Chef, while you're handling the cutting board, there's a question about how are you going to clean the cutting board? This is from an anonymous person. You want to answer?
Oh
that one?
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to clean this, but I'll put it in the sink, scrub it down. But
that's the thing.
Actually,
you got to put it in the sink and scrub it, soap and water, just like anything else.
Or
right?
But on the bottom we can actually do this. It's a marble countertop, so we can actually roll out the pastry. Pastry on a marble countertop is actually one of the is actually a perk. But yes, we're going to scrub it down right now, but we're not going to actually roll it on this because I'd rather do it on the counter.
Every time I clean a cutting board, when I'm cooking with a family member or a cousin or friend, and I put the cutting board in the sink, they look at me like I've lost my mind, because I don't think people realize you can just put the cutting board in the sink and scrub it with a scrubby, soap and water, just like you would anything else. That's the best way to clean it. Even though it's wood, it cleans up just like a piece of metal.
Yes, and it dries. Actually, it dries quite quickly. Don't underestimate wood.
Just wipe it down, and there you go. If you want to keep it on the counter, you could use a soapy dish towel and wipe it down. This is my go-to cutting board. I actually leave it out all the time because my kids come in, they want to cut a bagel or something. You know how kids are. That's a great tip. Leave it out. Leave it out. Yeah.
So so we got a little bit of flour here, just to dress the bottom, and then I got puff pastry sheets. Now we put some flour on the bottom of it. Now in the recipe that I wrote, let's look at our sauce here and our mushrooms. Everything looks great. Let's turn down the sauce a little bit. On the recipe, I think I said 12 by 16. So now I actually did this a couple times already. I got a piece, it's about 10 by 16. This is basically what the size we're going to start with, but we're going to actually trim a little bit. It's a little bit too big. So what we want to do, beautiful, we have some flour on the bottom, put a little bit of flour in a pin, and we're going to just give it a little bit of rollout. Just a little, not too much.
Because it's basically already sheeted and rolled. It's ready to use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we don't want to go too thin, because if we go too thin, then it's actually gonna, maybe when we roll it, it'll break or crack, and there'll be a little hole in it, and we don't want to have that. So now we put the mushroom duxelle down. Let me get my trusty spatula here. Perfect. So now this is where you're going to try to make a nice little rectangle. Doesn't have to be super perfect, Make sure you get enough down of mushroom. Get a little bit here. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there. Obviously, all food is made with love. We're gonna look, see, do I have the right amount width-wise? We wanna go a little bit further. So I probably wanna come out to here. So basically the mushroom will be on the top 3/4 of the fillet. To get it all the way around, we could. I find that, you know what, doing it like this is actually a pretty good setup. Okay, so good amount of mushroom down. I'm happy with that. Let me get some egg wash. Now, for our guests that are not sure what egg wash is basically just a couple cracked eggs mixed up. I got a little brush. And what we're gonna do is gonna brush around the mushroom and brush the top. So when we roll it and we roll over, that puff pastry will stick to itself.
Chef, there's a question about brown sauce. What are some easy ways to get brown sauce at home? I think you can buy demi-glace at the store now.
Yeah, bright
Yeah,
demi-glace.
reduced stock, yeah.
Yep, reduce the beef stock that they have. They have some wonderful containers that you can actually get from the store. They have it in cans if you want. I suggest there's really, if you go to your, to your regular supermarket, they make these culinary beef stock and stuff where, well, it has low sodium and all that. Get that. That's the stuff that I would use. And if you think it's a little bit too light, you buy 2 of them and you reduce all of it down, and it becomes what you want. Our sauce is beautiful. Let me bring this down a second here. Okay, so now we're all ready to go. We got the beef. We took the strings off. Mustard's all over it. Nice little pad of duxelle. I'm gonna sit here, put that right down in the center, right? We're gonna just tap it with a little bit of salt before we roll it up, right? A little touch of pepper, building those flavor profiles, okay? Now, one thing about this stuff is you really got to go quick in the sense of puff pastry. If we're working with puff pastry, I'm doing this, definitely pull it out of the fridge, have everything ready to go, and go quick, because the actual longer we have it out, the softer it becomes, and it's a little hard to handle. So you see, I took off a piece. I didn't actually use the whole piece. Let me see, I'm gonna cut a little bit more off. So now we have a nice little Wellington. So now on the ends here, I'm gonna just trim a little. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna lift the top. We're gonna tuck the corners, lift
that's
the bottom.
how you do it, okay.
Yes, and then fold
That's
over.
a good
See,
way.
so now
Very
it looks
nice.
like a little package. You see that?
Yes.
So now here, I'll do it again. So we're gonna cut a little bit off. So remember, cutting a little off is fine. We can do that. This is your Wellington. We're gonna take the 2 side pieces, put that in. We're gonna lift the bottom and then just take the top and push it down. That's it. See, so now we have a nice little beautiful Wellington ready to go. So now, okay, so we have this. We got some extra scraps. Now, if my daughter's here, she'd want to make some hearts and stars and put them on there. You could do that, with the leftover puff pastry. When you buy the puff pastry at the store, you're probably going to get more than 2 or 3 sheets. So now what I have here is I have some strips, and this is where we're going to do a little decoration. What you're going to do is you're going to sit there, you make an X in front of you. You're going to take the top piece and then the bottom piece, and just going to fold it right over. Make it a little taut, then bring the 2 ends down close, and we do it again. Make an X. All right, we go over, top, bottom, taut, close the ends. Now, if it's not fully same length, obviously, some of them are not matching, it's fine, because it's going to be on the bottom of the Wellington. We're not even going to see it. Okay, so there we go. We got the X here. We're gonna go quick. Bing, bing, bing. Pull it together. Okay, so now I have those little nice little bows all right next to each other. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the Wellington, we're gonna flip it over and go and have basically the top of the Wellington on the bottom. So this is where when we flip everything over, you'll have beautiful bands on it. Now at oh, well, let's see, where's my egg wash? Oh, there we go. Thank you. So we have a little egg wash. So basically you want to try to dust off as much flour as you can on the bottom because it was sitting there. We're going to put a little bit of egg wash, like one stripe right down the center. So when we lift these bands up, it's going to stick right to it.
Wow, look at that.
There
Very
you go.
nice.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Little package.
that's
So
beautiful.
now you have these, and this is a little trick. It's not that hard. Don't, please do not think that this is something that is very tough for someone. You just saw what I did. I showed you how to make the X. We can actually do this. It's very easy. Or then you can sit there. There's other ways of doing this. If you don't want the bands on it, you egg wash the thing, which I'll show you how to. We'll do that in a minute. You can take a knife and you can make some lines on it with a little decoration, as long as you don't pierce it too hard. And then when you actually cook it, you'll see the lines of it. So it'll almost be like sort of like a ribbed effect. You can do that. Gordon Ramsay, he's famous for that lattice print, which is actually a cutter that you can actually roll out puff pastry. So what he would do, he would roll the whole puff pastry, the whole Wellington, then roll another piece of puff pastry over it in a lattice print, and then he would attach that, which looks fantastic. It really does. Okay, let me rinse this plate a little bit here so I can put it in there. So now, since I have my Wellington all done, right? What we want to do is we really want to put it back into the fridge for a second, just to give me a little bit of. I'm going to put the little puff pastry, a little bit of parchment down so it doesn't stick. We're going to put it back in the fridge. So now the Wellington is all set. We're ready to go. We can feed anybody we want. So we have our puff pastry, our little bit of scraps that we had. We're going to put this back in the fridge. Okay, so now we have the last component of the whole dish is basically our carrots. We got to get these carrots going now. So baby carrots. It was funny when I was starting to do this, people thought that the carrots that I was mentioning, see, so now my board is all nice and dry. Beautiful. So now people were thinking that I was talking about baby carrots, those little tiny, ones that you find in a bag in the store that people use to dip their hummus. I'm talking like real baby carrots here. So they get them pre-peeled. They actually come whole. I went to the store today and I found them. They're beautiful. Take a little peeler, go straight down on this. Beautiful. Do a couple, and then what's going to happen here is we're going to just take the tops off because we're not going to eat the green. It's going to be a nice showpiece if you really wanted to keep it on there, and if you're going to serve this as like a crudité, that'd be beautiful. So we're going to cut the tops, have this all ready to go, and then we're going to actually toss it with some olive oil, a little salt and pepper, and some nutmeg, which is my little homage to nutmeg. I love nutmeg, so I got my little pot here. Let me get some olive oil.
Chef, just to clarify, the beef is in the fridge right now, not in the oven?
Yeah, the beef that's wrapped in the puff pastry is in the fridge cooling down.
Okay.
Not cooling down, getting cold. So the actual puff pastry is all ready to go and sets up. You want to do that probably after you wrapped it. And if you were going to do everything today and you're going to move right into dinner, I would have that wrapped and in the fridge probably for a half an hour or so. and then we'll pop it in the oven. I'll show you exactly how to do that after I get the carrots in. So this, we got salt, pepper, that, touch of nutmeg, my little nutmeg deal here. I would love to have fresh if I had my little grater and my nutmeg ball. That'd be fantastic. Sitting there, just tossing it really easily. You know, 350, 375 would be awesome for this. Probably 15 to 20 minutes. Putting me on a sheet tray like this is really, really nice. You know, at work, sometimes we saute them in saute pans, but basically a sheet pan, we dress with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. It's great. I'm gonna throw it in the oven, at the bottom here. Perfect. Okay, so let me just show you the duxelle quick. So now, guys, the duxelle, you see how the duxelle looks dark like the one I had? That's basically it. It's a finished product. It's all nice and dry. Looks like a little paste. Flavor profile is fantastic. So it wasn't that hard. Basically chopping it up in the Cuisinart, putting it in a pot, cooking it, deglaze with a little white wine, salt and pepper, and there you go. You're all set. If you wanted to put the foie gras mousse in, make sure you cool the duxelle down before you would add that, because we don't want to compromise the foie. My sauce here is absolutely fantastic. I mean, Doris, I think you really should come over here. Right here, guys.
Oh boy, look at that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You got beautiful thickness, nice. We're gonna put a little truffle and a little bit of butter in there, and we'll be all set that. So now we have our carrots in the oven. Duxelle was already made, but I pre-made that, so we have that ready to go. Let's take the Wellington out. Let's put it on a sheet tray, and we'll put that in the oven too. I'll show you how to dress it with a little bit of egg wash. So we know, obviously I would love to keep this in the fridge a little bit longer than we are, but we're obviously pressed for time. Unless, Rocker, you're at my house, then we'd have it all the time.
Chef, some questions about duxelle, leftover duxelle. What can you do with it?
Oh, great point. Omelets would be great. Put that in a little omelet, little goat cheese. Get a tart that you would, like a pie crust that you would buy. You can mix that, make a quiche out of it. You can actually put goat cheese, maybe
Mushroom
put a little
straws.
smear of that on a plate, put some arugula, some goat cheese or vinaigrette, and sort of make that, or even crostini, sliced bread. That's your play right there, crostinis. That is right in your wheelhouse. Okay, so now I have the puff pastry, beautiful. Did I have a piece of, oh, maybe this was it. Maybe it was. I'm gonna use, yeah, it is actually. I'm gonna use this parchment. Now this little piece of parchment here, I think is something that everybody on the stream should really listen to what I'm gonna say. Parchment paper is probably the best thing you could ever buy. I use it for cookies. I use it for everything I'm baking. It doesn't burn. You don't have to, the actual sheet trays don't get all burnt up. It doesn't, you don't have to scrub it. It actually lends itself, everything releases right off the pan. It's a great piece of paper that we use all in our job, all in the culinary industry. And from now, I mean, I have a roll in my butt. All my friends, everybody I know don't have this. They're like, puff pastry, chef, what is that? I'm like, well, this is the baking sheets that we use. They're like, really? So, key, parchment paper. Okay, so I got a little egg wash like we had when we put it all together. Now, egg wash the whole Wellington. Now, you got to make sure you get every crevice. If it leaks down onto the paper and around, it's fine. We're okay with that. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but make sure you coat every little inch, because if you miss it with the egg wash, you'll see that it'll have like a spot. You'll be like, okay, the whole thing's shiny, and then it's like little dull spot, like a freckle will be there, and that's basically where you missed on the egg wash. So, okay, perfect. So we got it all nice and egg washed, ready to go. 400 degrees for 40 minutes. I have my little thermometer here, key component, definitely of a cook's world. You want to make sure you check it right in the middle. If you want medium rare, I go 115, 120, pull it out, let it rest for 20 minutes. I'm going to put this right in there with my carrots. let it rest. All meat, new rule, all meat should always rest. Steaks, you guys have on the barbecue, you guys want to eat some great pieces of meat. We have an online butcher link in Harry's website where you can go and you hit the website, and up on the top it says Butcher Block. You can actually, or Butcher Store, you can actually go there, buy the meat that we actually serve. Filet, ribeyes, tomahawk. We have some lamb on there, some great cuts of meat. Burgers too. Make sure though, when any of these pieces of meat and anything that you get at any store, you really want to season it well. Salt, pepper on either side. Maybe put a little oil on it so it doesn't stick to your grill or your saute pan. And you really want to make sure you let it rest before you slice it. So, okay, my sauce looks great. I'm going to strain that. We're going to add a little truffle and a little bit of butter, and then we're ready to plate. So we're actually almost there. So I have my pot here. So we got the sauce, which looks beautiful, obviously. Come on over here, Doris. So we got our sauce and my little strainer. Now we want to get all the shallots and all the herbs and all that stuff that we used to enhance the flavors of the sauce out. And then if you have a nice little strainer like this, and if you don't, you can use a slotted spoon. You can scoop out all the onions and the thyme. It's fine. It doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, exactly the way I have it. I mean, some people don't have such a strainer like this. Sit there, really, really work it through. Put it on the heat. We're gonna whisk in a little bit of butter, Rocco. So we have that. We got some truffle oil, my trusty truffle butter right here.
Because it's getting all the good stuff, huh?
Oh yes,
foie gras, truffle, love it.
Right. So and it's not, you know, it's not super expensive either. Don't think that we're making a, you know, the truffle obviously might be a little pricey, but if you want to just get like truffle oil and put it in there, or just truffle butter, so be it. That's great. You don't have to get the truffle peelings and stuff that I do, but it's more than enough to put a little bit of truffle butter in. Or if you don't want to even put truffle in it, you just want to go straight sauce and use like red wine, it's a Bordelaise sauce. That's exactly what a Bordelaise sauce is, just red wine reduction with brown sauce. You can do that. That's a classic sauce that probably most of the time people would use that for this dish. Let me grab a spoon. We're going to put a little bit of butter into the sauce here.
This is how a lot of sauces are finished in professional restaurants. It's called monte au beurre. It's usually done right before you serve the sauce. And this is super common, guys. And this is what makes a sauce that you'll get at a really good restaurant so rich and delicious and have so much depth of flavor.
Right, exactly. So we're going to have this. We're going to bring this up to a boil. We're going to mount it with a little bit of the butter. Come on, baby. We actually have our carrots and our Wellington ready to go. Get this sauce nice and heated. I have actually some sauce here prepared for, but I want to show you guys how I put this together. I actually cooked a Wellington ahead. So obviously we can see this here. We're going to make the sauce. See that Wellington? Beautiful. On parchment. See how it's golden brown around the outside. The bottom didn't burn.
You're making me really hungry. Really hungry.
I got some carrots here.
I ate before.
Oh, thank God. But don't worry.
I did not expect this hunger pang to come up. Yeah.
Or I'll get you some steaks.
I'm going to stop in for sure.
We got our sauce here. We put some butter. We're going to put a little bit of truffle oil in it. Just a couple drops, not too much. Want to make sure that everything gets emulsified and incorporated in the salt. We have a little bit of truffles here, which are canned truffles, which are pretty inexpensive that you can actually get. If you have fresh truffles, That's fantastic. I probably wouldn't even put them in the sauce. I'd just shave it right over the dish.
Chef, do you guys sell the sauce? If not, you should start.
Uh,
I think we have
I
a
do
few
not
hundred
sell the
customers.
sauce, but
Yeah.
you know, it's an aspect that we're trying to work on because we have Harry's steak sauce. I think it's a really, really good steak sauce. And you know, and my ownership, Peter and Harry, they're like, Chef, we got to make some of this stuff and get it bottled up and sell it. So something's in the works.
The beef Wellington sauce definitely makes sense.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, I sell the beef around Christmas time. You guys can all come and get the beef Wellington. I do make them whole for Christmas as a package, and I start probably about 2 weeks ahead. And then everybody from everyone is coming down. Chef, I need 2 Wellingtons. I need 3 Wellingtons. I need 1. I got 1 no foie gras, but I have another one that they just want. They want it the original way. They want individual. So around Christmas time, we have it all set, ready to go for everyone. Okay, so I got my nice little slicing knife here. My sauce looks fantastic. All right, we're gonna take we're gonna take 1 spoon and just taste it really, really quickly. So I know I got the seasoning there, right? Fantastic. Really.
Expected nothing
Okay, so
less
now we
than
have the
fantastic.
Wellington here. This is more than enough for 4 to 6 people. If we're going a little bit higher than that, I would make 2. If we're gonna do 4, you know, you basically want to cut it in half and then half again. So we're gonna go cut it right in half. Oh my God, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
Okay. So now I got half. So now if we're only having 4 people, we're gonna cut this other part in half. Now that's probably, like I said, it's probably about an 8-ounce piece. I cut the end off here a little bit. So I have it. So when I flip it over and lay it flat, it'll stay. It won't rock and roll. Now this is the presentation that you want to probably do. You know, we're going to take my small little pot here and bring it over to the table. It's a little bit easier to deal with. The presentation I'm going to show you is what we do in Harry's. If you want to, by all means, if you want to put it in a platter and then slice it and bring it to the table, sliced and not individually plate, by all means, you can do that. I have a little platter that we can put the rest in here, and I'll show you how to set that up. And I'll do an individual plate. So if we're going to do an individual plate, we really want to put some sauce down first. Right in the middle of our plate that says Harry's name on it. Probably I'd say a good 4 or 5 spoonfuls. We're going to take 1 piece of this beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It actually is beautiful.
It's so beautiful, it's intimidating. Show us something not so perfect.
I will. I would definitely. So, yeah, but listen, the key about this, Rocco, is you and I can make this, but the video that I'm showing you now, people at home can make this. This is not
for sure.
This is not something that, you know, should be a scary thing. This is something that maybe you watch my video 1 or twice, you know, 1 or 2 times, and then you try it out on your husband for the first time just to make sure that you have all the components down. But then you whip it out in the holiday event and you are going to blow the family away. There is no way in the world they're going to be like, oh my God. So here, this is our pre-plated. We got 3 baby carrots
very
on
nice.
there.
Can we get a close-up of that, Doris? It's beautiful. Look at that pink coast to coast.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it up here and we'll present it on a platter a little bit. So people at home can really get the feel of how you could actually do this at the house. And we'll cut this piece in half too. So what you want to do is you want to put 1 piece down, another piece, this, right? You got the baby carrots. What would go with this is like little fingerling potatoes would be great for this. Let me dump this in the trash. Little fingerling potatoes would be fantastic. Maybe some mashed potatoes. You know, people love mashed potatoes. It's a sort of a household staple. There you go. Spoon a little bit of sauce over the top. You know, just a little bit of drizzle.
Look at that. Ah,
You know,
You're
a
making me
little bit, and then
crazy.
we'll put a little bit of sauce on the side. So people,
Yeah,
I'm a sauce guy. I
yeah.
need more and more and more. But and especially this sauce with the truffles on it, you
Oh
definitely want to
yeah,
have
for
more.
sure. There's a
You
lot of
know,
questions about how large the tenderloin should be, but after seeing the result and being reminded of how magnificent this dish is, for all of you who are asking, make it big, have more, not less. Make it
yeah,
huge and save it for
absolutely.
later. Yeah,
Right, right. And you know what? And you
that's
go to your butcher,
extraordinary.
you tell him, say, listen, I want a 7-inch piece. That's what you tell them. You tell them the length. If you tell them poundage, they'll give you the head of it, and it'll be a big giant piece. You say, I want a center cut of filet mignon about 7 inches long. That is the perfect size. You'll get 4 to 6 slices out of it. You'll do exactly what I did. You got the puff pastry from the store. The duxelle recipe wasn't that hard to make. Maybe we want to make the duxelle the night before, so that's all set. And then you can finish the sauce, and then maybe sear off the beef a little bit ahead, early in the morning, and then put it together in the afternoon, and then you're ready for 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, it's got such an impressive visual. The optics are so impressive. It looks like it's impossible to make, but it's not that hard. We've both made very hard dishes, and this is, in a medium to average range. It's not easy.
Definitely.
It's not super difficult. It just takes a little practice. The trickiest part that you demonstrated so beautifully is getting that puff pastry around. Let's get to some questions. There are a lot of questions for you, Chef.
Oh, awesome. Go for it.
Yeah. So JR wants to know what the ideal size for the tenderloin should be. And you just said 7 inches or 3 pounds. And JR, I recommend you make a larger one because I think it's going to come out better. You're going to get more of that perfectly rare interior temperature. And having leftovers in this case is just bonus time. And Chef, if you're
Totally.
worried about cost, try a pork loin, right? It'll be a fifth of the cost and taste just as good.
Yes, absolutely. A little pork loin would be good. Pork loin are pretty good. The pork loin, you got to be one thing. You got to be careful though. You might want to bring down heat a little bit when you cook it. Maybe sear it a little bit longer on your initial sears, because pork, you don't want it rare. I believe me. I could eat it. I'm not going to eat it well done either because it be dry. But
yeah, you want to take the pork out around 150 and let it rest.
Right, exactly. That's why that thermometer.
You took this out 125, I imagine.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
120, 125.
Chef,
and you see how it rested and bled into it, like you said.
Beautiful.
Red coast to
Beautiful,
coast. I mean, that's exactly what we want to do.
There's a request for. By the way, we're going to answer all your questions. We're going to probably go a little bit over, guys. So for those of you who want to stick around, please do. We'll get to all your questions. Chef, someone wants a recommendation for a butcher shop. Le District, pretty obvious choice, no?
As of right now, Le District is not open.
Okay.
The butcher area, but I'm going to tell you right now, guys. If you call Harry's Restaurant and you say, I watched this Zoom meeting with Chef Joe, I will give you the beef. I will cut it for you.
Terrific.
And I'll give it to you at a great price.
Terrific. Okay, and Chef Ava Heineman wants to know if you can use chopped liver. I imagine she's talking about chicken liver. If you can't get
yeah,
pate.
oh, absolutely, yes. That
sounds amazing, right?
Yes,
that
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love chicken liver.
There's another question. Can we use phyllo? I say yes. Why not?
Yeah, it's just the one thing that might be a little tough. It gets a little flaky. That's a puff pastry that's a little unforgiving. And make sure you have big enough sheets. So to try to put 2 sheets of that to go and roll it, you might not want to put the bands on that. You might want to just roll it into a log and say, okay, that's enough with the phyllo, versus the puff pastry might have a little bit more give and take.
Yeah, the puff pastry is 1,000 layers of butter and pastry. So if you're going to do phyllo, you might want to layer, at least a dozen layers so it has the
absolutely
impact with a little bit of butter in between. Yeah. Chef Lisa Ann wants to know, how long does it take to make this recipe at the restaurant?
Well, I'm making, I got one guy butcher the meat. I have another guy, it's probably to put it all together in different components probably comes out to 45 minutes. But initially when the guy is rolling this up, it's very quick.
Chef Anonymous wants to know if you're insulted, or do you think it's rude if someone tastes or salts a dish before they taste it?
No, I'm not insulted. I think that was sort of inbred a little bit. No, I can't be. Come on. But
we're in the hospitality. We're in the make you happy business.
Yeah. I mean, if you were going to my restaurant, there's no salt to be found. You know, there's no salt on the table. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know about you, but you're going to come there, you have to ask for salt if you really wanted it.
I always carry a little Mallol personal pack in my pocket.
Do you-
Terry Stewart wants to know, she wants you to know that you make it look really easy. I agree, Terry, it makes it look very easy.
Thank you.
RF wants to know if you have a recipe for puff pastry, or do you just suggest they use store-bought?
I would suggest use store-bought. I made it in school, and that was probably the last time I made it. You know, it's definitely a daunting task.
And
you know,
there's so
butter,
much great product available now in the store.
Really, I mean, unless you're a French chef and you're doing pastries, you might make your own puff pastry, but really now that industry has sailed. Everyone buys it.
Yeah, but even French chefs are buying
buying it too. Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Chef
We used
Tree
to have-
wants
we
to
used to have-
know.
We used to have
Tree wants to know
financier.
when the district produce department is reopening.
Really not sure on the timetable of that. I
Okay.
mean, you know, obviously the lunch and the business down there is sort of sparse. We're probably looking at September, if anything.
Got it.
You know, I
So
think
it
that's
depends
a good
on what
timetable.
happens. They
Right.
say
I
it's
think
the
we got to
most
get through the
beautiful produce.
summertime to get into it and see if we get 50, more people get vaccinated, and then the capacity for the restaurants open up a little bit more. I think that's how it's all going to work out.
Understood. Chef Sarah Friedman wants to know, if you can't get foie gras, would you use prosciutto or nothing at all? What's your preference?
If you can't get foie gras, yeah, why not? I mean, I haven't used prosciutto, but
Prosciutto,
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, absolutely. Just make sure you slice it thin. You know, get your butcher or your deli man to slice it for you.
Yeah.
You know, all nice sheets, and yeah. And what you would do is you put the mushroom duxelle down. You would lay that what do you call it? You would lay that. Well, actually, no, you probably wouldn't do it though. You'd probably put the prosciutto down on the board on plastic wrap, then put the beef on there and wrap that whole thing, and get it chilled on the beef. And then once that's nice and chilled with the prosciutto on it, then bring it to your mushroom and wrap it up in the pastry.
Chef, I just had a vision of that being wrapped in bacon. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that just came to mind.
Absolutely. You'd have to par cook the bacon though a little bit.
Yeah. Chef Margarita B wants to know if you can make cuts on the pastry to create a decorative look.
Yes, absolutely. Do it after the egg wash though. So when you do make the cuts, it will be pronounced when you cook it. Because obviously if you see everything on this puff pastry is nice and shiny, it looks great. If you make those little creases and then you egg wash it, it hides all the work that you just did. So make sure after the egg wash, then you do your little decorative lines in the puff pastry.
And that would just be a quick back and forth with a knife.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like
superficial.
taking the knife, you know, and you know, just lightly on it. You don't have to really dig into it. You're not touching the meat. You're only piercing the actual puff pastry itself.
Chef Laura Cummings wants to know if you can use the veggies left in the strainer from the sauce making and blend them or use them in a super stew.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're basically you're pulling out a lot of the nutrients and everything and the flavor profile of those ingredients that are in there. But I mean, at work sometimes, if we need some sort of like, if we were going to make ossobuco, we take all the veggie and everything in the sauce. We mill all that veg right into the sauce. And you can use that or pull those components out, maybe add it to a pasta or sort of a soup or a stew. Absolutely, you can use that stuff.
Chef Ava Heineman says she found raspberry wine. Can that be substituted for red wine?
I mean, it's probably going to sweeten it up a little bit, you know, maybe use half the amount that I recommend for the brandy, but you know, to each his own. I mean, it's you know, raspberries, why not?
Could be a great new dish, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chef Sarah Friedman wants to know if you prefer black or white truffle oil in this application.
It really depends on what you get. I'd rather have black, you know, but some other chefs are partial to white. I mean, it's you know, right now, I don't even know what I have. Let's see, I think I have black. When did I
This feels like a black truffle dish. I think
yeah, I think so too.
Historically, black truffle is what's been used.
Oh, here we go.
If you're going to turn Bordelaise
yeah,
into
the black truffle oil.
Perigordine,
This is exactly what I use.
Yeah.
You know what? It tends to be the white truffles are always more expensive, so that's why I probably lean to the black and the oil itself.
All right, Chef Gilletta Brandt wants to know why chefs are so obsessed with medium rare.
I don't know. I mean, this is where we just came up, and that's, I
It's
actually,
optimal. It's the
yes,
best.
yes,
It's
yes,
when the meat tastes the best.
right. And it's rested. So, it looks red, but it's not as medium rare as you think it is. People have that misnomer. If you rest a piece of meat, you're just really making sure that the juices stay in that product, that piece of meat. It might be red, but it's not like that raw syndrome that everyone sort of fears sometime when they, oh, I got a medium rare, but it's raw in the middle.
And of course, you're always, welcome to cook it more if you want.
Oh,
Chef
absolutely.
RF wants to know if, do you ship to locations outside New York City?
In our butcher's shop, yes, we do. We nationwide. We go to Florida a lot. There's a couple orders that go down there. Some Jersey people. So, just make sure when you do go on to the online butcher
I
shop.
just say call you, just like you said. He said,
Yeah,
call
well,
me and he'll make it happen. RF, call him, he'll make it happen. Walker Vanden Heuvel. Someone you know?
No.
Looks great.
Oh,
Chef
is it Rachel?
Joe, miss your food.
Yes, Rachel,
Looks
thank
great,
you.
Chef. Miss your food.
Yeah, she used to work for us, actually.
Jeannie wants to know, how long would it take to cook an individual Wellington?
I would say, yeah, you know what, Rocco, just give me 1 second. I'll show you one little technique here.
And Jeannie, I agree. It is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I was shocked by the beauty. Jeannie, when we were rehearsing this, we joked that there might be some in front of me when he cut his open. I regret not pushing that further. Go ahead, Joe.
I actually sort of regret it too, but listen, after the stream here, we'll make sure we'll get something to you. I have a piece of beef here. That's the one I seared a little bit earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the beef in half, right? And I'm going to cut it in half again. So now, basically, Rocco, we have an 8-ounce piece of filet. What you want to do is you're going to put a little bit of the mushroom duxelle right on the top. You're going to cut a square of puff pastry and just invert it so the mushroom is basically on the top when you fold it over and flip it over. There you go. You got an individual Wellington. And I would say
it's 20 minutes? 20 minutes, maybe?
20 minutes, maybe 15. We do at Harry's 15, actually.
Okay. Chef, there's another question. Did you use a thermometer to get it beautifully rosy, edge to edge? How did you know it was done? The question of
this definitely is a thermometer type of product or of dish. You really need to stick it. There's no question.
And what's your ideal temp before resting?
I like 115, 120 and resting for half an hour. That's exactly what happened here.
Terrific.
And it came out great.
Chef Janice Abramson wants to know, how far in advance can you make the whole Wellington? The day before, 2 days before?
Listen, if you start 3 days out and you get it done and you have it done tomorrow, the day before, and you're going to cook it today because you don't want to feel the stress of putting it together, by all means do it. All the Wellingtons that we make at work, we make the night before.
Great, there you go. Faith wants to know, what are your thoughts on carb conscious people, keto people who want to eat less carbs? If you'll allow me, I wrote a book called The Keto Comfort Food Diet. I would say for you, Faith, no puff pastry, wrap the entire thing in prosciutto or bacon and use that instead of the pastry, and it'll be basically carb free and delicious.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely, you want to tie that puff pastry, that prosciutto or whatever around the outside so it doesn't fall off when you sear it.
Chef, Lisa A wants to know, do you have al fresco dining right now?
Yes, only at night on Stone Street. We do have, I think, weather permitting, obviously, if it's not going to rain, we're not going to set it up, but definitely Wednesday through Sunday at night. We have some beautiful tables outside, tented too, so you're not sitting in the glaring sun, at 7, at 5 o'clock. We usually set the tents up about 4, and we'll go to 11.
And Chef Margarita B wants to know, if you can cook the beef well done, is it okay? And how long does it take?
I would initially, yes, absolutely. You can cook it well done. I would definitely sear it much more on the first initial sear, like I seared it a little rare. I would sear it and get some nice color on it. So when you initially put it in the oven and cook it, you're getting it further along. Now, you really want to probably get to 160, right? Maybe
because that puff pastry can't cook forever. It's going to
burn. That's the problem. You got to make sure we don't overcook it. You might want to drop the temp by maybe 25 to 50 degrees. So you're going to slowly cook it and get it brown, and it'll definitely well done it out.
And Chef Barbara Caputo wants to know, if you're making it ahead of time, cooking it ahead of time, what's the best way to reheat and serve?
Let's see. I mean, I would put the oven on at probably about 300. If you cooked it, say a couple hours ahead, and basically just put it back in the oven at a low temp, and just sort of bring it up that way. You know,
So
I
super
like,
slow and low, probably for an hour
yeah,
or
you know,
200,
don't
something like
please,
that.
whatever you do, do not put it in the fridge. You know,
Yeah.
like you cook it and put it in the fridge. Don't do that. You know,
I think that's what
but
the question was. I'm not sure what the advantage would be because you have to reheat it anyway. You might as well just put it in the fridge raw
right. And
and cook it to order.
right. And say, okay, say if we had some pieces left over from today and
Yeah.
tomorrow we wanted to reheat, then I would definitely probably put it on, you know, a sheet tray, little piece of parchment, cut it, my little piece, and then just bake it in the oven and get it hot. You know, as long as you do 300, you're not going to basically, you know, kill it and overcook it. You know, it'll keep some of the moisture in there if you're low and slow.
Chef Melissa wants to know if Wellington's available on the takeout menu.
Absolutely. Every Wednesday.
Ah, terrific. Every Wednesday.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. There you go. Lisa Ann says, not a question, just a comment. Thank you, Chef, for making this for us. Can't wait to try it. I agree. It was wonderful to watch it happen. Aaron McDonald, according to Sybil Roscoff, Aaron McDonald on Food 52 has a great puff pastry recipe where they cut down the steps. So we'll check that out.
Okay.
Ava Heineman wants to say thank you for demystifying beef Wellington. Stunning presentation. I agree, Ava. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Lisa A says, love, no salt on the table. I love that you get away with that. Few chefs do.
Thank you.
That's a couple more questions. Let's see. Harry himself loves to drink a Burgundy with this. Can you verify that? Fact or fiction?
Absolutely. Any red wine.
Terrific. And RF says, I'm ready for Hell's Kitchen now. He's seen this and he's ready for Hell's Kitchen. He's going to go up against Gordon. There you go.
Listen, give me a call. I'll give you a hand.
Hey, if you want to learn how to make this, go work for Chef Joe for free for a couple of days. You can observe all you want, and you won't have to pay for the lesson. You're happy to take some interns.
There you go. We also have that promotion that's working. If someone shoots a beautiful picture of their dish,
of course. Yeah.
I'll be. You know, we'll do a Zoom meet. You can come over to my house. I come over to your house. We'll do it together.
Sounds good, Chef. You've been very modest. You run a very large operation. I'm a big fan of all of them. Le District is very close to where I live. I want the $5 fries back. I'm just going to say it while I have you here. But congrats on running the institution known as Harry's. I hope to see you there soon. Thank you for supporting the Downtown Alliance. Thank you for your tremendous demo today. We hope to see you in the restaurant and, of course, at the Dine Around Downtown when and if it happens next. I think there's something in the works. I'm not sure I can say, but there's something in the works for this year or next year. Hopefully we'll see you there with your famous lamb chops. Guys, yes. Don't forget to support Food Corps. It's the food security charity chosen by Harry's. Visit foodcorps.org to donate to them directly. Harry's is at 1 Hanover Square, an institution since 1972 or 76. Let's 72, check it out. 72. Beautiful. The questions we didn't get to while we were on the air, we will respond to in the follow-up email, as well as all the recipes and a recording of the demonstration. Don't forget to post your plate, where you can win a personal 30-minute virtual cooking class with Chef Joseph Mallol of Harry's. Whip up your best version of the featured recipe, post it on IG, and don't forget to tag Dine Around at Home and Downtown NYC. I want to personally thank you for coming back for season 4 of Dine Around Downtown, Cook Along at Home. We really love doing this. We have Keste Pizzeria coming up April 22nd and the Fulton May 6th. And I look forward to seeing you then. Keste is one of my favorite pizzerias in New York. I'm looking forward to working with the chef there. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.